You're not stressed, you're out of balance. Stress is nothing more than a feedback mechanism to show you when you're leaning too heavily on one side of a two-sided reality. So let's look at a real life example to explain this better. If you've ever dealt with insomnia, which is just trouble sleeping, you'll notice it's always because you're either fantasizing about something or you're fearing something. In both cases, the reason why you feel that emotional state come up is because now you're run by your amygdala, which is the animal part of the brain. And in this case, you're going to be distracted by impulses to seek pleasure or instincts to avoid pain. That's just survival. And in both of these cases, you're out of balance because you're not seeing reality for the full picture. Because everything in life is two-sided. It's part of the laws of nature. Cause and effect, right? Everything has to have an equal and opposing force to balance it out. So, if you're busy fantasizing about something, let's take an example of a person. If you are infatuated with a person, then you're going to feel some kind of inner stress because you need to prove yourself to the person. You need to live up to them because you think they're better than you. And let's say you end up getting to know that person, and over time you realize that they have their own flaws. And all of a sudden you start to realize they're just human, right? They're just like me. And the normal reaction from that point is relief, right? You feel like I can be myself again because they're just a normal person, right? I don't need to prove myself to them. That sense of relief you have is because you've moved back into balance by neutralizing that heavy positive you had, the infatuation with the person, with a negative, right? With the drawbacks you found. And you find like, I can be myself again. So this is why we talk about the importance of balancing out the ratio of your perceptions of both sides to come back into balance, the center, which is authenticity, which is also love and wholeness. So when you do that, and the best way to do it, again, is by asking quality questions that help you see the other side that you're not seeing, which is always there. And when you do that, you move out of the animal brain into the forebrain, the prefrontal cortex, which is where your higher self-governance comes online. And this is an important exercise to do because typically people only change when the pain of their discomfort exceeds that of the fear of the unknown, right? But people are forgetting that that's a two-sided equation. Typically, they just let the pain side get so high that they're forced to change. Why not reduce the fear of uncertainty instead, making it easy to change? Now you don't need the pain of your discomfort to get so out of control for you to be forced out of your situation. And how do you reduce the fear of the unknown? Again, it's moving out of the animal survival brain into the forebrain, because fear of the unknown is only high when you're operating from that place of survival, because in survival, uncertainty could be anything. So we fear it. But when you're back into the forebrain, you realize that uncertainty is simply the place where change happens. That's when you're tapped into more of your intuitive self, into the heart. And now it's no longer scary, right? So by training yourself to look forward to the unknown, and the best way to reduce fear of something, again, if fear is simply a stressor, it means you're just seeing one side. So you need to just balance out your perceptions, bring yourself back into that center, and now that fear dissipates on its own. It dissolves. And by doing so, it becomes easy to change. And at that point, you're also finally starting to get back to your true self. And that's very important because anything you want to do in life, you're always going to do from the perspective of the beliefs you hold. But when you're leaning too heavy on one side of a two-sided reality, then you're viewing everything in life from that one-sided narrative you have. So you don't have a relationship with anything really. Everything you're seeing is being skewed from that lens that mask that you have on. So once you move back into balance, back into your authentic self, and you feel that sense of relief, now you're more likely to, you can trust the instincts that come up in that state because it's more of an authentic place. You're seeing things more clearly, so to speak. And this is where you can start to ask yourself questions like, what matters to me now in this state? when I can see both sides, when I can clearly see things for what they are, what is important to me now? And these answers that you get at this point are more likely to be ones that are aligned with your true values, as opposed to values you might inherit because of false perceptions. So, very easy way to practice this is anytime you feel any kind of stress in your life, start to ask yourself, is this because I'm trying to avoid some kind of pain, or is it because I'm seeking some kind of pleasure? What side is this on? And once you know that, then you realize all I have to do is balance it out by seeking the opposing side. Everything is two-sided. You just need to ask yourself the right questions and look for the other side. Once you've done that and you've balanced out your perception, now you can start tuning into yourself and ask yourself what things energize me, what excites me, where do I like to spend my time, my resources, what do I like to talk to people about, what excites me. And now you've moved closer to understanding what your true values are. And you can start building your own legacy, pursuing the things that you were meant to do.